But you've mentioned immigration, the environment, campaign finance, and voting rights. Why else do you believe that the court is important in this election?
Well, I think our whole trust in our democracy right now has been called into question. And whether it is the Congress or whether it is the institution of the presidency and the court is part of that as well. And you want people to believe in their country and to believe in our democracy. And what we're seeing right now is just a decay of the feelings of the public toward it. And you can blame people for that, but I think that the rhetoric that we're seeing has made it harder to govern and much more difficult for people to come together to get things done. It's made people believe less in our democracy. I use the example of this family. I went to a mosque in Minneapolis. We also have the country's biggest Somali population in the United States of America. We have nearly 100,000 in our state, and we're pretty proud of that population, and there's been some security and prosecutions, and they've been very helpful in working with us on some of these issues with ISIS and Al-Shabaab and other things. But the good part of that population is that they're part of the fabric of life in our state. And after 9/11, the Bush U.S. attorney and I went around to assure the community they wouldn't be victims of hate crime, that if they were, we'd stand by them. Whatever happened after 9/11, because President Bush actually made it very clear, just as President Obama did, that we don't indict an entire religion, the thinking of some Americans have changed because of the rhetoric we're seeing about everything, about people, about our democracy, about our country. And I heard the story at the mosque a few months ago that a family of 4 went out to dinner in Minnesota, and it was 2 little kids and their parents. Guy walks by and says, "You 4 go home. You go home right now. You go home to where you came from." And the little girl looks at her mom and says, "Mom, I don't want to go home. You said we could go out to dinner tonight. I don't want to eat dinner at home." Those are the words of an innocent child. She knows no other home. Minnesota is her home. The United States of America is her home. So if you ask why this election matters, it matters for how we think about each other as citizens, how we think about the workings of our democracy. We put these checks and balances in with the court and with Congress and executive power for a reason. And to me, that trust is on the line in this election, and that includes the fact that the Constitution says that the president shall nominate and the Congress will advise and consent, and that through history we have followed that Constitution. I'm ending with the Constitution for you, and we have fulfilled our obligations. That's what's at stake in this election.